All right. Uncle Mitch, the sneaky beaver.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's get some more. Have it in. Get some more. Just get some more.
Hey, hello everyone out there in whiskey world. How's everyone doing? Welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. Tonight, we are going back to the Golden Beaver. We're dipping back in there again. As Mike's put it, it's the beavering. There are a few samples here, so it should be pretty exciting. And there is one in particular, just because you do not get to try this very much. It's the soju. So I'm California style, I know, but excited about this. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
And Mitch, we just got you at the last second. It was great to see you sneak into the little chat down there. Everyone in the big chat. Good to see you, Morgan. Good to see you, Adina, Emily. Nice to see everyone out there today. Spence, I know you were in early. Oh, I forgot. Before we jump into these, which, by the way, I'm going to ask first, which one do we want to start on?
So I really think that we need to start off with the Biba Soju.
Okay.
So for the people that do have it, Biba Soju, and then go into the Grappa. And then if you have the rye, do the rye, and then go through that. Okay.
But you want to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op now?
I would love to tell people about the Bar Cart Co-op.
Fantastic.
The Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who create content for the whiskey and other distilled spirits public. The Bar Cart Co-op YouTube and Facebook pages have information about upcoming and past special shows, which happen about every quarter. Speaking of which, one coming up this Wednesday here, a unique tasting, the Wallersheim's Yeast Trial Series, which if you went to Distill America, you might have gotten to try that. And also some brandies, and some of the guests will be Tom Lenners from Wallersheim, Robert Licorice, Iron Republic, who just celebrated their 9th anniversary, Alan Bishop from Spirits of French Lick, and McRib Aficionado, and then also joined by David Levine from Whiskey and My Wedding Ring. Bar Cart Co-op has blind tastings, distiller panels, and discussions, and special collaborations, and lots of other educational and fun episodes for your enjoyment. So please check out this show. Look at the past shows on the YouTube and Facebook pages. Then we have the oldest show in the group, hosted by Alan Bishop and Christy Atkinson, is a conversation with people from distilleries and distillery adjacent, and it gets into the weeds with their interviews. New episodes arrive at the end of the work week. And if that is not nerdy enough, check out One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. This is the show where Alan answers any questions about distilling and often puts them to the test. It could be grains, mash bills, equipment, methodology. New episodes come out randomly, so subscribe. And then we have Bourbon Turntable, home of our Barry White, the sexiest voice on YouTube. They mix the love of whiskey with the love of music, and Kevin and Drew have conversations with musicians, writers, distillery folks, and common folks like us about music and whiskey. It releases every Wednesday on all your platforms, including YouTube. And this week, I will assume, will be part 2 of the Lenny Eckstein episode. If you did not see part 1, go check it out last week. It's a really cool conversation. Lenny's a cool dude, makes really good whiskey too. I'm sure will be a fantastic conversation. Then we have If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which is a show about spirits and the paranormal among us, as well as the unexplained and the spiritual, or as Alan, the host, says, high strangeness. Subscribe on Spotify to get all 3 seasons, and the month of October generally has a lot of extra content. Go check that out. There's some really cool stories about old nursery rhymes and stuff. And there's especially a bunch of variations of the Snow White story, and the older and more European they get, the funkier and just.
Did you get into the Japanese one?
I don't think so. I think it was mostly
still
European.
Very similar. So
it's still very similar, but
to the old.
Wow.
Old.
Yeah, it's they're pretty interesting. And then we have, as previously mentioned, this is our the newest edition, Whiskey in My Ring podcast, which talks to people in the industry and adjacent that David Levine finds interesting. From the unknown to the known, David likes to get into the weeds with his guests.
All right.
There you go.
Finishing up with Samzun. Well, she's level 3 now.
That's right. She's leveled up.
Does she have like full wizard powers now? This is going to be interesting.
Let's see here. Level 3, you get a second mini medallion with your medallion.
But I heard it's really heavy. Like that.
Is it on the back as a counterweight? Because I really think there should be a counterweight.
There needs to be just less weight, period. Because that thing is honking big.
But
how much do you estimate it weighs, Mitch?
Probably like 3 pounds.
That's a lot hanging on your neck.
With the chain or just the medallion?
So, let me rephrase that. They just changed it because it used to be level 1, you got the medallion. Level 2, you went from a very nice ribbon kind of thing to a golden chain, and then level 3, you got a smaller medallion in between your medallion and your chain then. And they were like, this is getting way too heavy, and they got a braided cord rather than like a golden chain to help reduce some of the weight and hopefully catch less neck hairs if you're like me. So I haven't worn it a whole lot since they got the lighter one. I'm used to the OG, like, hey, how's it going, guys? Like, it's no. I can totally. Okay, no, it's just staying down here today.
One of the meisters from like one of the Dragon show, where they had all wear the chains if they were the healers.
Yeah. I think you almost need to make a sling for it. that rests on it and then clips to your shoulders or something.
Like a baby Bjorn for it. Just
exactly. Oh,
swaddle it.
Yeah, swaddle it. Talk to
it.
it.
A special like shine for it, just.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember yours was pretty hefty. So, but congratulations to Shannon, because that is always a good thing to do and well deserved. Helps with everything you're doing, and especially with the Iron Root thing this weekend. That was I was jealous. That it's one of those things that you wish you could attend if you had a chance. But I think next year is 10, isn't it?
It usually comes after 9. Yes, Patrick.
It does, but I mean that's a good anniversary to show up for.
It is Texas.
Maybe My Whiskey Den could make a 10th anniversary trip to Texas.
10 could be illegal in Texas, so we don't know. You may not be allowed to have 10s.
All right. Well, Mike, you were on the trip. I am going to let you lead the way because I saw some other pictures and stuff too, so I don't want to impede your flow.
I would nose up on the Biba Soju, which did win, I believe, awards for good looks, by the way. But
that's a nice looking bottle.
It is.
That it's especially if you know where it's sold more.
So as you're nosing and stuff, so the Biba Soju is double pot distilled. It's a California style soju, which is it is where sake is brewed, soju is distilled. And so this is all made from the local cow rose rice, like that they have in the area there, rice and rice malt, and it's their take on that spirit. They are as far as getting it out. When I talked to Kris, and I do hope he chimes in, there was something about trying to get it shipped overseas because that would be quite a thing to be able to get that out. you're just, I mean, if you're already shipping Calrose rice elsewhere, why not ship the distilled spirits? But then again, laws are fun. So yes, I did get to go visit Golden Beaver, and got to meet Kris. It was fantastic. Met up in the morning, had a nice breakfast, went up to the distillery. He made this comment after I'd already seen it, but it is possibly the cleanest distillery that I've ever been inside of. And he looked around or I was looking around there, and he said, "Did you notice something?" And it's like, well, I noticed many things, but like looking around there, there's not a bunch of drains in the floor and hoses all over the place. Because he said, number one, we don't spill. He goes, you might spill once, but you don't spill a second time. And they're really big on their recovery of their water and water consumption, that was one of my questions, given that they're in California, which there's issues, even though there is a climate difference in where you're at in California. But it was interestingly enough, it's like they was talking about their water conservation and retention and where they were at, and obviously they do talk about that with people because they don't waste a whole lot. So yeah, the distillery was fantastically clean. This, honestly, looking out, and anyone who does a full screen and look on it, these are their awards that they've won with their whiskeys on their whiskeys. As you're looking out into what was the old tasting room going into the distillery, because they did build, when we had Kris on the last time, they were putting in the other tasting room, and which was separate, which required separate DSP, which required separate, because yay, government, stay off my lawn, government. But then they have, and I can't remember if this is Harold or Maud of this. I know the first two are Harold and Maud, I believe, and I think maybe the two pot stills are Harold and Maud, and the first still that it showed, I think that is, what was it? Eileen, I think, because it leans a little. So anyway, so we went back in there, and of course, Kris is like, well, do you want to go taste whiskey? And it's like, yeah. I mean, does a fat kid eat cake? Yes and yes. So we went into their the storage containers, and we have looking out on there, which, hey, barrels, pretty barrels. Everybody likes barrels. However, these are very special barrels. These ones in the front area that we're looking at, because one of the whiskeys that we might get to. We may get to, if we get through these, and if Mitch comes back, is, I don't think on our previous show did we all try the Michigan State 4-grain bourbon?
I know I don't remember if we all had that one. No.
Okay. I think I give it to you.
I'm pretty sure I drank it.
4 grain.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, that was one, because he makes obviously they distill all their own stuff out of rice, but they had found that there was a project that was done at Michigan State that MGP distilled 4-grain bourbon. Is their Pacific Flyway, their label, Pacific Flyway bourbon, but it is a 4-grain with rice. And they only made so much of it, and it was just kind of hanging out at MGP. And Kris found out about it, got a hold of it, and he's just like, I will take it. And I will take all of it. So it's gone from MGP. That is still available on Sealbox. So you can, if you go to Sealbox after the show, of course, buy that, because it's very interesting and very much worth trying. Also buy some of their other stuff that they do have of Golden Beaver. So then that way Sealbox will get more from Golden Beaver, so you'll be able to get it. So we did the tour of the distillery. There's nobody there. It was on the weekend, and it was just like absolutely spotless, extremely impressive. But going back to these barrels, well, in these barrels, not all of them, but there were 4 of them, is Kris's version of the 4-grain made with rice that they distilled. And it is coming out, or at least one release of it is going to maybe come out around the holidays this year. So we went through in the single barrels and tried them out, and to see which one. And I mean, it was a pretty good difference in them. I mean, they're as we've learned through Mitch's Wood series. And if you haven't, go back and watch Mitch's Wood series, but those barrels are sitting right next to each other in that crate, two completely different barrels. There might've been a different distillation date on a couple of the barrels, but still a pretty good difference on there. And it was, it was pretty cool, but I did what I do where I blended some together and then, and so Kris was having some of the ones that were blended together. And this was, this bourbon was, I want to say it was a little over 2.5 years old. You know, look at the beautiful, fantastic color. And I'm telling you, whenever this stuff comes out, you're going to want to get it. It is an absolutely delicious, delicious whiskey. Find a friend in California, because then Golden Beaver can ship in California. So find a California buddy, have it shipped to that California buddy, and then figure out how you're going to get it to your house and to your mouth, because all of them were absolutely great. They really were great, but there was enough differences in them that it was nuts. But I highly suggest keeping an eye out for that when it comes out. But yeah, we did the tour there, went through all the stuff and checked everything out. And then before we get back to the still house, which is the other one, I want to ask what you guys think of the Biba Soju, and if anyone's got it at home.
Well, color wise, it's neat because it looks, it's just a hue off a clear, you know, you can see through it, has it, but it has just a little tint to it. Looking at it, for me, I would think dirty vodka in the past, but more flavorful vodka now that I'm more educated, where you get a little bit more into it. But that's if it were actually vodka. But it has, just like I said, just like a slight little hue to it off of clear. But it's like I would say rice field, but like it's obviously the malted part is in there, but very close, because the maltiness gives you like that earthiness. That's very close to, wow, like a clean rice field. Because usually, I don't know. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna get past that. Because there's a honey note. It's like a light floral note, and I'm having a hard time because it's thin, but I don't know. It's that neat malty rice. Just because you're not accustomed to that flavor smell. Mitch, what are you getting?
So I was off camera because I was blowing my nose rather vigorously. I didn't figure people really wanted to see or hear that. So I'm not getting a lot right now, unfortunately. It's very unique. Like I don't drink a lot of soju or anything like that, so I can't really compare it to memories of previous ones. But it's grainy without being grainy. if that's what I'm getting right now, right?
Yeah,
like I said, you're like, that's definitely a grain.
It smells like it's like dried rice. Like before you cook it and take it out of the bag a bit, like, but then there's that clean backside to it.
So it's super clean. I've had sake before. Had not had soju to my knowledge, but I don't believe I ever did. But it's my understanding that when you open a bottle of this, it's supposed to go bye. Like you pour it around, everyone takes a drink of it, and it's only 24%. So it's not super high in alcohol content, but it has, there's a nice malty oiliness to it, and I could like, if you had vodka people who are like, oh, I just like vodka, I would like to try it. There's only a little bit left of this, but I've been wanting to have this like in a glass with a couple cubes, just to like, you know, as some people, I'm assuming people drink vodka that way, but as a comparison. So.
Ooh. A little bit of rice note, but more on the finish now because that's where I'm at. Light honeycomb, very fresh. It's like making my mouth water. Like I don't know. I'm finding it. I don't know, making me salivate. It's already kind of gone now at this point.
Yeah.
It has just like a light to medium oily taste in the front part, and then it kind of dissipates. Slightly coating. Wow. I want to peg the rice when you're actually tasting this.
No, it's just it's not bourbon or rye. Okay. I mean, it's not bourbon, rye, scotch, or any of that stuff. It's just, it is a totally different spirit. That is extremely easy to drink.
I was going to say, I can see how if you're passing this around, or even it would, like you said, on ice, if you pulled this out of the freezer or something, and then like the first round was when it was cold, and then, gradually it gets warmer.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Like, like by round 2 or like I can see how that would happen. Yeah.
This remind me with the grassiness and the citrus on it, but the grassiness parts reminded me of if you've walked past a well taken care of garden area of a yard that might have some lemongrass or some other floral things in there, where you're just getting some of the floralness with the grass and maybe a little citrus and on there, but it's very, very subtle. It's there, but it's very, very subtle and very, very nice. Like drinking wise, you're like, I'm done, dude.
So I'm going to start out with a joke, and it is not meant to be an insult at all. But there's a Seinfeld joke where they're talking about tofu, and he says, it kind of starts out with an aftertaste. And that's how mild this is. Like, you taste it and you're like, water? No, that's not water. Because it is so crisp and clean at the beginning. And then then the flavors, you get to pick them out. So what's that green melon? It's not honeydew. It's...
That's what I would have thought is.
Isn't honeydew orange?
No, that's cantaloupe. Honeydew is green.
Oh, I guess it is honeydew then. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. You're asking the wrong guy on fruits.
I do. Oh God, I avoid melon at all costs.
Is it covered in chocolate?
Hold on here.
Somebody knows. Emily knows it. I know she knows it. Bourbon Turntable. He knows his melons.
I guess you could. There's even like a light little creamy note to it. The jasmine, yes, that's true. That's in there. It's just like nice and light in there. Hey, Renita, good to see you.
There you go.
See,
my girlfriend
is green.
Trying to make me healthy. Slowly.
I kind of like it.
Huh, that's ironic.
Ooh. Hey, well, I saw something about...
Doctor.
I saw something recent. I know this is off topic, but it was about a guy in, I think it's Japan, that grows the world's greatest strawberries and how expensive they are.
God, have you seen that?
It's fucking ridiculous. Oh, wrapped and baked.
I mean,
well, what about prosciutto?
I'm a big fan of melons, but honeydew and cantaloupe ain't my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
unless it's a cream liqueur.
That is very good.
But it ended up being like the fanciest strawberry he had was 350 pounds English for one strawberry. And I
Well,
wouldn't
I thought
say.
you were going to say in weight, but I remember
Oh.
not everybody's America.
No, it was just how expensive one was. It was a big strawberry. It was almost as big as the guy's fist, but it was, that's a lot to stomach at that price. But he did say it was phenomenal and tasted more like an array of berries and melon with rose mixed in rather than a strawberry alone. I'm like, well, that is intriguing, but I am not that rich. So if you want to donate to Let's Try Some Weird Strawberry Fund, we can do that another day.
Is there a secondary for strawberries?
There could be. Yeah.
Strawberry taters?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say I get a
Right.
little bit of kind of that grass you were talking about, and then earthiness, and then a lot of honeydew melon. Like that's really what I'm getting.
Okay.
But once again, my nose is stuffed up and my palate's probably not that great today.
Oh, I get what you're saying, the melon, but I was getting more of like the honey hive, like a little bit of the actual, like when you have a little bit of the hive itself, but to be more of the earthiness. Excuse me. Sorry about that, everyone.
All right.
I'm not getting honey at all, which is weird. Sorry.
Well, you can always go back for it.
Yeah, different day, different time.
That's right.
When I can breathe. Fun times.
That's fair. All right. So number 2,
All right.
we're going to the Golden.
The Richardson Springs Grappa.
All right. For batch number 1.
Yes. Which? Oh, there he is.
He's
And
going down.
the label that is on here. Let me get there we go. So
Wait a second.
the beaver that's on that on this label,
Mhm.
it actually is a real beaver that they helped to relocate. Which again, read up on Golden Beaver, and not only do they make very nice spirits and they're very nice people, but very big in conservation. They have helped raise a lot of money for conservation, and do. I mean, it's there aren't as many people. I think that people give money back, whatever, but it really is part of their thing, than what they're giving back with conservation.
What his background was before that. He was a filmmaker for PBS and other channels like that, like wildlife filmmaker. So I'm glad to see that continue on.
And he was in the Coast Guard as well. So, Richardson Springs Grappa. As we left the main distillery, he's like, "Do you like Grappa?" And I was like, "I've had Grappa before, but there is a certain harshness to some Grappa, in my opinion, because it is
stems too.
So for me, it is in my experience with Grappa, it is akin to my Croatian heritage and people drinking the Slivo. Like you drink the Slivo, either you sip it extremely slowly at the end of the night as a digestive, but most often it's for shooting. And so with Grappa, it is it's not for long conversation with the Grappa. My understanding, Grappa is an after dinner thing or pre-dinner or whatever, but around dinner, and it's not been the smoothest. Well, he had made the comment about this Grappa is that he wanted to have a smoother Grappa. So to use a term that people don't like, but anyway, so yeah, do knows this. I am using the Edelbrand Grappa glass because I'm getting all proper.
Well, all right.
I wish I thought of that.
Sorry, everyone got to see off the top of my head. We will change it up. Just like
so.
Prepared.
I was just under here.
Well, you were in a meeting,
yeah.
So we did that, and moving on while people knows this, we went on to the still house, and as we've said many times, as Kris has said, you got to have a sense of humor, with the name of the distillery. They have a lot of fun with it. They sell dollar beaver shots. dollar shots of beaver liquor. But they, in the still house, which is it's really, really nicely done, very well set up. Back behind the window over there, you can see the Tennessee Thumper that they've got for doing their infused stuff. Kris was very nice to make their smoked honey run old fashioned, which will be part of our old fashioned throwdown when we do that.
True.
It was good. I will say that very much. But the at least as far as towards the end of my talking about the experience, I always say whiskey people are the best people, and they really are. Kris was extremely generous with his time on a Saturday. His daughter ended up coming to the still house and met his daughter. She's absolutely lovely. Met his wife Marianne, lovely, and his son. I want to say I think it's Nils. I want to say Niles, but I think it's Nils, and I do apologize. I should have asked him that. But the whiskey that we're going to have after this, the Chico Creek Rye, that was the first thing that they distilled together. This was what he and his son distilled together first, the single barrel of Chico Creek. So I had a very nice conversation with him about it, and they were talking about perhaps laying down some more, maybe, but. But anyway, as I'm curious, what Mitch, you've probably had more grappa than the rest of us.
I had about 3.
Okay.
So this is probably number 4 for me.
I could not tell you the name of any grappa that I've ever had because it's always been here. Have some grappa. Okay.
I've had the. Oh God, who's the people that in it? Starlight. Starlight used to make grappa. So I think that was the first grappa I ever had. So probably not like a super authentic grappa.
Huh. It makes sense though. They got the wine.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the grappa was just, this wouldn't make good wine or good brandy. So they made grappa out of it.
Yeah.
You can really get in here on this. This is 40%, right?
I can't get it anywhere near my nose.
Yeah.
There is a strong note in here that I cannot.
Thank you.
I hit that before coming in when I had it in the other glass. To be honest with you, now I'm intrigued if it's a glass issue.
Ooh.
Give me a second here. Wow, so that's weird.
This I don't remember the grapes that were used in this, but I know that this was aged for 1 year in a used Cabernet barrel.
Well, Neil's right. You get earthy grapes.
Yeah, that's earthy grape.
Light.
100%.
Well, I think you no. I think you really do get the rind on that a bit.
Yeah.
You not just like that, but like the little bit of the stems in there.
Mitch, it looks like you got something there.
I don't know what I got, but it's throwing things off.
I'm going to say, oh, go ahead, Mitch.
So when I started coughing, it was because I nosed this like I normally nose whiskey, and my body was like, no, you can't do that. So I've been very cautiously, slowly bringing it to my nose, and I can get about here before it's like, I don't know what that is, but my body wants me to cough when I smell it.
Mike, try getting the other glass because
try it in the other glass.
Well, you can. I'm saying compare. I would say compare.
All right,
just a little.
I'll be back
because Mitch's you get more of a not Mitch's, but this glass it gets a little leather, more leather, and maybe a little more spice.
Oh, in the grappa glass, it concentrates it heavily.
I'm like backwards right now.
It's very interesting. Yeah,
it smells less leathery and just a little more light smoky in the grappa in the grappa glass.
Yeah, because that musty has that earth. Yeah, the earthy grape and musty leather on the in the Grappa glass. And it's strong, but
Ooh, that's a good one. Dry spice rub. That's what I was gonna say. It. Oh, and maybe like a rub you'd do on like pork. Apple butter. I can see that. But it's neat. This is one of them. I have not had this much fun between nosing in quite some time, and just these two glasses between what I'm getting out of them. Because it's typically it's not even when I've done other things in these, it hasn't been this. I mean, it is. It's more concentrated, but this to me has a little more earthy smell. Where this cleans it up, and I get more smoky actual. I think actual flavors from the Grappa itself. This is neat. This has like a little gingerbread smell. Maybe I don't know. Maybe someone didn't clean the glass enough. I don't. It was in the dishwasher. I don't know. You know, I got like. It's neat.
This glass is so much effing better. It's intense.
That was it. That was the end of the comment. This leaves. Is that a cliffhanger? But
I'm just. You ever had something that just so radically changed everything in a moment that you were just kind of mad, and you just got to get through that before you keep going? That's where I'm at.
Hey, Richard, how's it going? Got some island rum. That's looks pretty interesting. But yeah, the difference between these two glasses is really fun. I wouldn't normally do that, and I don't normally notice this much difference. But with this Grappa, it is a lot stronger, but almost cleaner in this glass. This smells a little more dirty gingerbready.
It's quite a bit different concentration of on the nose, and not as much drinking, because when you drink out of the Grappa glass, when you drink out of it, it's so far below my nose, I'm not really smelling it while I drink it.
Oh man. But now that I've poured everything out of this glass and it's just like the residual sugars, the nose is fantastic. It's like bruleed. Oh my God. Bruleed freaking sticks with like a little bit of baking spice on there.
You know what's great, but like apple baking spice, like you were saying. Oh, like a little bit of a candied ham, like the edge to a candied ham.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The flavor is close to that smell. Ooh. Oh. So to me, this tastes like if you got a little bit of sugar, well, a lot of sugar, honestly, and put a little bit of like baking spices in there. Not a lot, not like apple pie level of spices, just
on the top.
some. And you literally just coated a stick in it and threw it in the fire and let those sugars caramelize over the stick, and then just ate the stick while someone was drinking a very strong glass of wine next to you. That's because there's hints of grape in there, but it never really overcomes just this amazing, like, sweet, woody flavor for me.
No, and doesn't have the harshness and kind of borderline bitterness of the Grappa that I've had before, where it's just like, oh yeah, Grappa.
Yeah, usually when that stem section, when you get that in there, like that's usually like like you said, in that first little bit, there's this twinge. Yeah. There's
none of that. And it's still, even after having, there is that little bit of that slight mustiness, but it's like that leather mustiness, and it's very, very nice. I do like it. It does stick around. Yeah, as Neil said, yeah, Coach does do a very nice coating your tongue. It's all the residual of it is the residual flavor is like. I'm trying to think way to say this and make it sound not sound dumb, but in that first half second where you get a little spike of flavor out of fruit stripe gum. And if you had a piece of the grape fruit stripe where it does that, and then it gets all over on your tongue before everything flashes away because all the flavor is gone on there. Not the intense, super sweet stuff, but then that leftover little bit, it's like that flash of grape. And then it just, I got that, and it's just kind of like residual on my tongue. I dig it.
I'll say this, like you said, for the grappas I've had, I actually I dig this one. I love the experiment between the glasses. If you have that, try that with whatever grappa you have, because that's a neat experiment just with the nosing you're getting off. Flavor's pretty similar.
Yeah,
real fruitcake. I get it. It's like finding a grandma that made a light fruitcake, not this heavy behemoth. You know, most of the time they're like seat crackers. You get 2 or 3 of them, you're taking them someplace. They're weighing down that side of the car.
I just went to Aldi to get my Pfeffernusse, and they had some cherries stolen, so gonna be eating that.
I gotta. You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna put Pfeffernusse on my list.
Oh, that's right. We have to talk about that as well too. By next week, let's say by Thursday, I'll have a post about the cookie exchange, the cookie and spirits exchange. We're gonna have to cap this at a certain amount of people. Like, what does a bottle give you if you send everyone an ounce? Like 20, 21,
20. Yeah.
What is it? 24.
25 and a 750.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna assume people spill, so maybe we should cap it at 24. Plus, you want to keep one for yourself, right?
Or 20, probably 20, so you make sure you got some back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll get like a list, and that way you know what to like send a sample and how many cookies. You gotta send more than one.
That's the thing.
You know, like 3 or 4 probably. Let's be honest.
Yeah. All right. So 80 cookies. It's 20 samples.
Well, it's one bottle. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
But they also have my other favorite, which is not, it's kind of like Pfeffernusse. They're large, soft gingerbread cookies covered in chocolate.
Ooh.
Ooh. Mm.
That's hard to argue.
Yeah, they are way too expensive though, because it's $5 for 6 cookies, and it's just like I don't spend that type of money that often, but I definitely did today, and I ate all 6. So totally
100% worth it.
No, that sounds
all right.
Delicious.
All right. So, what are your final thoughts on the grappa?
Personally, it's way woodier than I expected. Like, it's not necessarily even tannic or anything like that. It is honestly woody. It's not oaky or toasty. It's woody, which is I quite enjoy. I've never had anything taste quite like that.
That was kind of like the wood part you're talking about. I think it's in there, but like when you mentioned, like it's almost like a candied stick. You know, like you said that, like it's because you just get a little bit of the nice enough about the barrel note in there that holds on, but it is this not like when a lot of times people say candy, they think like cotton candy, but this is just, you know, like it's actually been baked on a little bit and then almost like rested in wine. Like you said, I wouldn't normally think it, but I would chew on this stick all day. Just
I mean, am I the only kid who like gnawed on sticks? Like, when I was younger, like I'm getting definitive memories of gnawing on a stick in the woods.
But the honey malty note is, I don't know. It's just a neat little crop. It's more than what I would have expected, and it's different than the ones I've had before.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, I mean, if his goal was that, it has definitely. I think you could introduce people to Grappa with this more than a couple of the ones I've had. Some of those have been, like you said, a little more aggressive, to put it politely.
Yes.
Especially with like that stem note. But no, that was just neat. Another one like with that, like the soju, though it's almost 20 points more, 16. You could drink that pretty quick, and not notice it being 40%. I think that drinks well under that. Hold on here. I got a different type.
Also, thank you, Neil. It's nice to know I'm not the only one.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
As of right now, there are twos of us. Twos.
I don't know. That comes more along as like a better brandy than some things I've had than a grappa. No, light, thinner, but you know what I mean? I'm being serious. Like, you get the actual flavors of the grape and other things in there.
Not sugary enough to sell in Wisconsin.
Not for some people. Sorry. But I think, once again, this, may be an ice cube if you just by itself. I don't know if this needs a whole lot of anything else, or if you could put anything else. It's very nice on its own.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm really, to be honest, I'm intrigued. I haven't liked many other grappas. I've tried a few and not excited. I
really like it. It's just, I don't know what I was expecting going into it, and the nose I got off of the Glencairn did not say good things. And then I got to try it, and it was like, oh well, actually, I was sorely mistaken.
But also, the little lusted glasses, that's a pretty big difference compared to like other things I've had. That was really good call, Mike. Did Kris tell you to do that? Or did you do that there?
I walked by the cabinet and I'm like, hey, I got a Grappa glass.
Oh.
Dave's comment.
So yeah, I mean, I've never.
I think it's the grape stems from what I've researched.
Yeah, so I mean, so people actually do distill wood, and they use it mostly to get vanillin out of it. So I wonder if I need to read up on that and like see what distilling wood does. So.
All right.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. I gotta rinse out a little bit after.
You gotta freshen up. Okay.
All right. So we're ready to move on to the Chico Creek Rye.
I don't have that one in front of me, but you guys can do that one. I think that's what I had before. Unless that's the 4-grain Flyway.
No, that's we had the Chico Creek on one of the aforementioned bar co-op shows with Kris Koenig.
Yeah, I drank that. Sorry. You guys will have to.
All right, so we'll have the Chico Creek. Chico Creek is straight rye. They normally do sell Chico Creek at the distillery and at the previously mentioned Sealbox. However, Sealbox does not have the single barrel release, which this is the first barrel of rye, or the first batch of rye that Kris and Nils distilled together, and then put this out as a single barrel. And this is go back, watch the Bar Cart show with Kris Koenig from July, early July, and where we all tried this. Kevin, Alan Bishop, you and I with Kris. So, and I want to hear what Mitch and anyone else who's got this has to say.
So my nose is totally shot, right?
I'm going to be right back.
Because after that Grappa, and as stuffy as I am, not getting a whole lot. It's very mild. But I took a sip and
yeah, it's I from my memory of had, because I have not had it since, I think I had some when I was at the still house. But the previous time that I had it, I just remember this being just a very nice, very floral rye. And I've been waiting to go back in it because I also made the mistake of, well, of course, I had to bring all this stuff back on a because there was an airplane involved, and I was I was not sure how I was going to bring back, because Kris was very generous with bottles, so then that way we kind of split all these things up and share them around. And that's all great, but I really wanted to buy more, but then I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get these home. But I do know people in California, and this is still at the distillery, the last that I looked.
so good.
Yeah, no, it's just this. There's the floralness of this, and how it's balanced and layered. I'm not comparing it, but it reminds me of, so like the difference if you give somebody who is like, oh man, I love rye, and all they've had is MGP 95.5 and its different variations from different people, and they've not ever had Pennsylvania rye, or what's the other one, Maryland style rye. If they haven't had those, they don't like. The 3-chamber was completely lost on these people. So this has that quality where it's very floral, very layered, and just very nice and even.
Yeah. So a lovely sweetness, like an incredibly lovely sweetness. It's somewhere between like a really rich clover honey, or like a really, really light and like no sulfur molasses, kind of somewhere in there. Oh, that's a really good sweetness. Like whatever. Sorry. But on top of that, so like that's the sweetness, but I think clover, to me, like hay comes through. So I'm one of those really weird people. So at our fair, one of my favorite things to do is smell the winning hay bales. And it's like one of my favorite smells on earth. And like that flavor comes through a little bit in here. So rather than having like the Grappa tasted like distilled sticks to me, which is a new and unique flavor that I'd never had. This doesn't present that way. This one has kind of a slightly more traditional like tannin structure and wood note, but that kind of like clover hay bale bridges the gap between the sweetness and the woody notes.
Nice, Mitch. That sounds good.
To answer Adina, no, this is straight rye.
Oh man, so good. So, all right, sorry. So this one's really my jam. So it starts with the tannins in mine. So like you get that little like dryness and like woody note, and then it kicks into kind of that floral. I'm going to call it floral clover, hay, whatever, floral hay.
He should keep up the good work, not us. You keep it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Kind of the floral hay, and then that dark honey, light molasses something kicks in, and then it goes a little more woody after that, but not tannic or anything. Just yeah.
That's why I don't have it anymore.
Because you also like to smell hay bales at the fair, Patrick? Is that what you're saying?
No.
No. So what was interesting? So I at the still house, I probably, which makes me even feel worse for not 100% remembering, but there's a lot of mush going on up here, but not totally remember it was Nils or Niles. But Nils and I talked for a good 45 minutes, and he's like, yeah, he didn't really like it. He's like, and he's like, why do you like it? And so I got to talk about all the reasons why I liked it, and why I enjoyed it and everything. And they were talking about laying down some more, but it was, no, the whole thing is, this is like stuff like this. If you give me a bunch of different ryes, this like stuff like this is what gets you excited about trying different things versus if you just had the same ryes over and over. This is just, it's just good. it's just it's flavorful and tasty without being a punch in the mouth. It's not high proof at all. So it's not using it. It doesn't need the high alcohol. I'd love to try it at cast strength because I would love to try everything at cast strength, but it's just flavor. Just because it's 45. Yeah. 45%. It's just flavor. I dig it.
I was unaware you had nothing else you could drink there, Pat.
He drank all of this. That's a problem.
Whenever I get ready to send samples out to y'all, I'm like, oh shit, I need to drink like a lot of these. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to buy like another case of sample bottles.
It does go in a streak. I've done that one weekend where I was like, I'm like, either I'm drinking some of these or I'm handing them out to people when I go over someplace, or just these 4 are going away. Or what I did, that one barrel, Gavin and I made a barrel of like leftover whiskey and put it in together to make an infinity barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is like everybody has said in here. It's just really, really nice. I mean, it's just very, very nice. It's not relying on any tricks or gimmicks or proof or anything. It's just flavor. It's just straight up flavor. And I wish I knew where the rye came from. It'd be really cool if this was all California rye distilled in California and had like a California flavor to it. That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be. Well, I'm not going to rule it out, knowing them, to be honest. Most of the stuff's usually pretty close, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's really good. And there's a little left in the bottle, so we'll make sure that I'll make sure to pour samples and put them aside. So I'll make sure this thing gets shared and spread out as much as possible.
Oh man, I just love that hay note. That's just scratching an itch that maybe I'm the only one that has. But man, it's good when it's getting scratched.
I liked it, and I like the hay note. The hay note that I don't like is when it's like wet hay in the barn,
Oh, cool.
or and there's a whiskey that's that's down here that I got with someone else they were rehoming stuff. They're like, I don't like these things. It's like, I have this one, and it's a pricey rye, and he's like, it just wasn't my thing. I don't like it, and I tried it, and it has super grain and it was like hay that was sitting on water for a long time and just had that taste and smell to it, and just that really grainy. It is now down to, after giving it to multiple people, there's probably down to about 6 or 7 ounces of this bottle, and I got it with it was about 2/3 full, and that note is now almost gone. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind this. I had it the other day. I was like, okay, all right, got it. But up until then, it was like, hey, you should try this. And everyone's like, oh, I don't like this. And it just had that awful
wet
hay,
hay,
hay note. Yeah.
Wet hay is like almost like a moldy wetness to it. And it's, yeah. So it's not a bad afternoon.
Is that a dream or a memory, though?
Yeah.
It's both.
With some ginger cookies and fluffernutter or whatever it was.
Somebody's getting a special cookie box.
I typed it in. I just don't remember what it was because I couldn't remember the name. Okay, I couldn't remember the name from the last time. Then you said, I'm like, oh, I got to type that down.
I lied.
$3 at Aldi, man. Like, I'm trying to be mildly responsible with my money. Wasn't so much today because I went to Aldi and it was just like, oh, Pfeffernusse and all the other like things that I love. But you were already shopping at Aldi though, so you kind of made. I don't know about where you are, but that's like a good decision here compared to a couple stores.
Yeah, and when they have it, you got to buy it because it might not be back there again. Not for a while.
That's true.
So
there were some Irish cookies.
Pfeffernusse season. It won't be back till next year.
All right. Well, I'll see. Now that you said that, I'm due for. I went the other day, so I'm due to go back. Now I have that on my list. Okay. Try the old Pfeffernusse.
Good luck. You'll think differently of me. I have no doubt after you try it, and you're like, "That's his favorite." Okay. All
right. This dude's weird. Yeah.
He likes the vanilla wafer cookies.
Their version of vanilla wafers are not bad, but it's a very crumbly texture.
That's not the most exciting for me.
But they also cost half as much as vanilla wafers.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the same thing with anything that would be an Elf product is instead of $5 or $6, it's $2. And you're like, well, you know what, I'm eating 3 boxes compared to 1 makes it a lot easier to stomach.
Yeah. Say it 3 times fast.
Pfeffernusse. Fuck.
Close. That third one was a little off.
Yeah. You were in the ballpark. Do we want to do the 4 grain?
Do you want? It's sitting here. I have it poured.
I mean, we're over an hour, but I'm good to do the 4 grain. We can do the 4 grain.
Just one. Okay. We'll get this one in because I have it sitting here.
Let me go snag another glass.
Oh, that's
all right.
Well, Mitch is gone. Mike and I have been working on something for when he comes to the Kansas City game in December to Green Bay, and we have found a venue. It's at the Veterans Tailgate Zone on 1880 Stadium Drive. They host several different branches of the military that are veterans that come, and the whole backyard of this place is a giant tent that kind of runs the whole long way. Anyone is welcome to come. It is free. Donations are welcome, and we will have one at the front of the table for when you get into the tent to find us. But they do have food there as well. But we will be putting up some of what bottles did y'all get there today, Mike? Mike's collected bottles from Kansas City, and I'm gonna have to find some retorting Wisconsin whiskey and brandy to fight back.
We got the
onslaught.
He sent the Rieger's rye.
Oh yes, nothing wrong with that.
And
Actually, that's going to be hard to go against.
It's in Rieger, Kansas City.
Oh, very nice.
And I asked him when I went to see him today. He asked me again. He's like, "No, which one?" I said, "Well, what do you want to go up against Wisconsin?" He said, "Definitely the Kansas City, and then their rye." I thought he was going to do bourbon, but he went with the rye, which is good because I think either one of them would have been a good choice.
Yeah,
I do too. I like the rye and the bourbon bottle of bond. They're both
very, very good. And Edel brand.
Yes, and yeah, the Edel brand. We've got a 3-pack of the Vinars de Mela, and I'm totally mispronouncing that, and that's okay. But it is the apple brandy with plum.
Apple brandy with plum is going to be going up against Wollersheim's Cocard brandy.
Ooh.
Taste off.
And in both cases, it's like, what do you want to have go up against their stuff? And she said, our apple, Lynn said our apple with pear, and Ryan was just like, we want, which is cool. So,
no, that's good. And we'll have more information about that. But if you're going to be in town, or even going to the game, you should stop by that event before you go. We may be there pretty earlier in the day because that's a 7:20 game, and I guess the party gets going there by 10. But I think we may not start excitement there until noon or 1 o'clock.
Yeah, we may be making a stop at Aldi for some cheeses and other snacks.
Yes.
Not trying to party for 9 hours, guys. Come on now.
There's a point where if we happen to run out of booze, we could pack her up and almost go to eat or go back to my house for 4 hours, or just set up. So we're going where it's maybe 4 o'clock, kind of that 4 to 7, kind of that getting people excited, and then just pack it up and wander to the game. So I guess there's 2 different routes. So it's not fully worked out, but it's definitely something if you're in town you should stop at, because the whole event sounds like the area we're at sounds like it's actually going to be a fun time. I know they do references maybe a little more rowdy, but if you're at most tailgates, that's it's not like breaking tables like Bills fans.
It sounds more fun than trying to endure tailgating inside.
Yeah, that's a weird whole premise to deal with for me too, is tailgating inside a building. It's just not tailgating per se, which is okay. That's just not the same.
Yeah.
There's a reality to it.
All right. So Mitch is back. So we got the Pacific. Mike can't talk. Words hard. Mike silly.
1 hour over.
Pacific Flyway Bourbon Whiskey. This is the stuff that was a project from Michigan State that was distilled by MGP. Kris got hip to the barrels, tried it, and was like, I'll take those barrels. And MGP not made it again. But since then, Kris has made his version of it with a slightly different mash bill, but it's still a 4-grain that's corn, rice, rye, and barley.
Ooh.
So
this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neat, earthy molasses. Malty note. A little bit of smoke. A lot of dark notes in this. Between the sugars and I'm having a hard time finding the fruit at the moment, but
the two things that come at me on this right off the bat are corn and rice. Like right off the bat, I get corn and rice, or at least cooking rice, where you get the starchy water coming up on that. I get that aroma.
I was getting like a molasses cookie. It's almost like a molasses bread, because it's not as dense. This is interesting because there's a little bit of nutmeg.
Yes.
Smells like sugars in here. And icing sugar. Cane syrup. That's it. Very nice.
And this is 59.5%.
My nose does not believe you, but that's okay.
No, it does not nose that way at all.
Ooh, that is an excellent question. They're 4-grain. Was that the one we had, Mike? Or was that? Oh, it was the heirloom rice that threw us off from 6 and 20? Because I remember the 4-grain I had, but I think they had a special all rye release. That was the one that we were like, "What happened? Where is this? Why hasn't it come out yet?" Or why hasn't it come out since? But I know the 6 and 20 4-grain. This one's a little bit richer, Spence. This.
So, and I'll tell you this.
It was like molasses grain, not like the granules of sugar. Sorry, go ahead, Mike. I'm going to let other people talk.
This nose, you mentioned like this nose being, well, I mean, I know it's not intense, but it's got a bit of a nose to it. The nose on the stuff that Kris made blows us completely out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
As did the palate at 2 years and change. It was impressive.
Well, on this one, when I get to this side here, I get a touch of an astringent note, but I think that's just the alcohol. Or it leans more into the barrel halfway up the glass here. Sorry, I'm rolling my nose up it instead of staying at the same level. Ooh, rice pudding with cinnamon. Is that a nose or a taste, Anita?
Ooh.
About
Dave's
10
thinking.
seconds after you swallow. Oh, it goes from good to great.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And again, this is like we buy all the stuff for the most part. We buy most of the stuff that we have on here. These are most. Some of these were donated by him. I donated completely out the bottle that I got from him, so I tapped into one that I bought from Sealbox. This is worth buying from Sealbox. I know it's not their distillate. It's worth buying from Sealbox for the uniqueness alone of it. So you can pull it out. It's like, you want to try a 4-grain with rice? But you can get this bottle on Sealbox. It's 59.5%. It's got it's good. It's got really good flavor to it, and I do like this one. But I'm telling you, this one, the one that I got a taste there, I was really blown away by all the barrels that I tried of it. They were just, it was like so refined. And there was one of those in particular that I remember making the comment, like, this one, if you were trying to sell to Bourbon Bros, this would go to Bourbon Bros, because it had everything on there that then you could be like, and bro, that had rice in it, bro. And they'd be like, bro. And you're like, no, bro, it had rice in it.
Bro.
Yeah. Mind blown, bro. But
oh man.
Did I tell you about what I had a dream the other night about pulling a prank on someone? It was actually Kevin. I know you're probably out there, Kevin, but it had to do with maybe Distill America next year, and maybe, and it might not be you, it could be anybody this happens to, but maybe the only pair of pants they have the next day to go to Distill America is one that happens to be bedazzled or from the night before.
if we all make it to Distill America again, we should all wear bedazzled jeans.
Should they be like the same color or say something on it?
It's just got to have white stitching and embroidering on the pockets. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought swim trunks in case it rained, because I was going to be out there in the rain. We'll be comfortable.
Oh, I'd have to look. Typically, those are
swim shorts or swim shorts.
I did not look. I will have to look at that tonight, because typically those used to go on sale Halloween.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I'll have to look at that.
They would typically have emailed us also, because we've been there before.
True.
So
that's true.
So what do you guys think of this?
How old is this one again? Did they say?
I don't know how old
Oh,
this
okay.
one is. And Chris is off to dinner, but this was
Oh,
still by MGP. It sat there for a while at MGP. I'm guessing it's probably the 4-year-old mark.
at least. I was gonna say color wise. There's a lot going on for it in the 4 grain. It's a lot of flavors. It's like I said, it's deep, it's neat.
And where this, to me, a little bit, the flavors do a little bit of this. Chris was just
smoother because there are a couple points where it's and then a little bit of mix.
Yeah, it just for the most part it just stays together and it's just mingled really well and everything. And this is it's fun because it's different and it does taste good. I mean, it's good, and it would throw people off. That flavor is going to throw people off.
I think
because it has that caramely thing, but then you're like, it's not really caramel. It's kind of like, caramelized rice sugar.
That's just
This is
rice brulee.
And you mentioned that on the end. That's an aftertaste, like that. It's like a toasted rice puff. I don't know.
So for me, it starts out kind of traditional, right? Like I get some kind of normal rye type notes. It's a little floral. It's a little herbaceous. It's not minty or anything like that, but there's just a lovely green note. And then the sugars start to kick in. And the sugars are amazing. Because at a certain point, it is super molassesy. Super molassesy. And it is. That rice earthy note really helps just take what could be too sweet and just give it enough of an undertone to keep it on the edge, which I love.
It pulls it back just enough.
What about Old Faux, bro?
Yeah, he might stand in line at Rabbit Hole for that new one too,
with his man bun. So the one thing on this, which I just you had said the word, and I was like, that's what that is. When the finish starts on there, there's that flavor like I get off of a lot of toasted barrel whiskeys, and it was I was like, okay, because I don't know why I never noticed it or whatever, but it just has that kind of vanilla on a molassesy ginger snap, and has that like very much on there, and then just kind of lingers there for a second, and then it's just buttery, and then it evolves out. Yeah, I do like it. And what weird is I tried this with the ones that Chris made like right after, and it's just like I remember liking this. and it just totally knocked it back. I'm not trying to build up the one he did, but the one Chris made was just, it's like, I want that when it comes out. I want to get that because it was absolutely delicious.
I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to build up the one Chris made. Continues to build up the one Chris.
Yeah. Let me prop this one up.
I'm not trying to build up something you can't buy yet and won't get shipped to your house unless you have somebody do it for you.
Well, that's why. Or someone just needs to take a trip. That's another thing. There's vacations that can be planned.
I mean, you could fly into Sacramento. You can fly into the Bay Area and drive up, a couple-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
Chico is beautiful.
One of Morgan's best friend's favorite cities is Anaheim, California. So I'm just going to be like, oh, you're going. Have you considered having someone pay for a bag for you?
That'd be a little haul, but she could get the stuff. Yeah, get it shipped to her and then haul everything back.
Mm-hmm. There's ways to cheat the system. So, all right, that was good. Yes. I liked them all tonight. Yeah. I'm really glad I got to try the soju. That was incredibly clean. And I can see how that, just like sake, like you were saying, that is right in that same wheelhouse for everyone. They tip one, kampai, everyone have a little shot level and keep going.
I wish I would have gotten a couple of those. And actually, what I wish, because I was all out of the beaver liquor, I would wish I had the beaver liquor to have the beaver liquor with that, just to kind of go back and forth, nosing and palate. I know that completely different palates, whatever, but this is that soju. That's totally like everybody pour, everybody have some, everybody pour, everybody have some, everybody pour, everybody have some, and it's just so crisp and clean and nice and easy, and just it would be a lot of fun to have that, like with some nice Asian food.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking here is like I could pair this with, like, there's sushi, but there's also more of I was going like a Szechuan beef or something that had like some heat, where this would almost like bring it down and mellow it out afterwards. But I don't know, I was going spicy. I'm excited. Now I'm hungry. God damn it, everybody. and I have to go shopping at Aldi's because of Mitch.
Yeah, I already had my 6 soft gingerbread cookies, so I'm done for the day.
Fair enough. But before we go, before the 27th, before we go to the football game, Ryan maybe is going to be on from Jay Rieger from Kansas City to talk about some of the new stuff and their place. They've finally been up and running, but it's been a while since we talked to them. It's been a couple years.
They've made a district around it. I mean, they've really.
That's what I mean. Like, I wanted to get into how it's expanded to be like an anchor for that part of the city. You know what I mean? It's not just they won like best outdoor bar or something too, or something in the area. It was the whole Electric City thing kind of started taking off.
Probably Costco. if they're out of it, it's probably because of Costco. He was talking about how much that they were putting out there and getting to Costco.
Well, that's a good stepping stone for a lot of people. So
yeah,
and you're making something at a price people can afford then too. I mean, that's another thing people will notice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had an entirely separate suitcase and other way to get all of it back, because there's
Fair enough. But thank you, Mike. And I was gonna say, Chris, if you're still watching when you're done with dinner, some are rewatching it. Thank you for the samples that you provided. These were really neat. I was gonna say I really, really enjoyed the first two, just because maybe it's something we don't get a lot of, but they were just different. They really stood out from the other counterparts I've had from them. So just really fun.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, please do. Yes.
And he also gave us the honey run, which is split up for use when we do our old fashioned throwdown, which we have. Do we have a thing? Yeah, we don't know when yet. But the smoked
is the traditionally called Kentucky?
I don't know. I mean, just a typical
I like traditional better. Yeah. Okay.
But the smoked is the recipe from Golden Beaver, smoked old fashioned made with honey run, which for the Wisconsin sweet tooth people that like that the sweet Wisconsin old fashioned. Yeah.
All right. We'll see. It's the cherry in a Wisconsin one that can make or break something sometimes, or in an old fashioned. Sounds dumb.
I tell you what, that the first one, we went to a dive bar up there, and I was just like, I want a dive bar old fashioned. So I asked the girl behind the bar. It's like, call her girl, young woman behind the bar, and I was like, I want one. You got like your house old fashioned here, and she's like, yeah, you want it with a bunch of macerated cherries? It's like, sure. So she brings this thing out, and I nose it and I taste it, and I'm like, this tastes like high C fruit punch. And I was like, this is, and it was about what I expected. And then Kevin showed up. He goes, and Kevin, I think, got one too. And Kevin's like, this is not a real Wisconsin old fashioned. and but it was a dive bar old fashioned. I mean, that's what I wanted. Then we had real ones after that. But that dive bar one, I'm like, I could see drinking many of these.
Well,
because it was
some
just
like that are at some supper clubs. Like there was one up in Door County when we were going around and just trying stuff out. And think about going around the lake, and on one side of the lake there's this one, the other side there's that one. So by the time we got to the third one, it was $2 old fashions. And doesn't matter at that point. Like, oh, there's some cherry flavor. This is wonderful. What do you mean?
Here's $20.
Here's $20. What do you mean? Like, let us know when we're up.
Reminds me, we used to have Old Chicago's here, and for their happy hour, which was like 9 or 10 to close, and when you work retail, that's like when you get off work, they had 225 Long Island iced teas.
Holy shit.
So I have had a lot of Long Island iced teas.
That's awesome. I've only had a couple. One put me down.
I had a couple in a night before.
The only one that really jumped on me is when I was in Peru, and I was at like 13,000 feet. We were at a restaurant and they had nothing else, and we were waiting to get food, and it was happy hour. It was 2 for $1, and I looked at the menu, and that was the one I recognized the most of. And by the time I was playing the first game of chess with Sherry, I was done with the first one, and I sipped the second one, and I looked down and I was like, holy shit, the food had better come soon. Like, it had totally hit me. I ate a ton of food, still not, like I wasn't hammered drunk, but I was like, I can tell I'm fucked up right now. Like more than I want to be, like I can walk, I can talk but I'm not crisp, like I left the place, was talking to people, and I was telling everyone good morning or some shit, and they thought it was great. I thought I was talking fluently in Spanish. It wasn't going so well.
You were drinking or speaking cursive Spanish.
A little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed these, and yeah, I know I built those whiskeys up, but I'm just saying they're really good. Mm-hmm. Take my word for it. They were delicious.
Very delicious. Can I get over here? So keep your eye out for the next couple posts, and if you do want to be in the cookie exchange, if we have enough interest in that, we'll definitely go forward with that, because I think it's kind of neat, and I'm going to be cooking cookies anyway, so it's no big deal. I'm going to make another batch or two. So remember, It's not the size of the den, it's the love of whiskey. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.